Okay, and we are live, and I am so happy to come to you guys. And we are streaming on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and live embedded on Anchor Strategy Group's website.
Yay!
We're coming to you today to bring valuable information for those female executives that might feel stuck, overlooked, disgruntled. They don't know their story. They're looking for their true north. And I have partnered up with my friend, Elisa Marie Beyer, who I am going to introduce to you. But before I get there, I want to remind you, my name is Catherine Nunez. I'm the founder of the Social Selling Agency. And I frequently interview successful 6 and 7 figure business owners that want you to not just survive in this new normal, which I feel like every quarter we have some new something going on,
It's
right?
a new normal.
It's a new normal. It's the 23 new normal. But we want to bring information to you so that you just don't survive, you thrive and kick ass. And so for that reason, today, Elisa Marie is going to talk to you guys, and I'm going to read a little bit of her bio so that you know the powerhouse woman that I have sitting next to me in the studio today.
Thank you.
All righty. So Elisa Marie Beyer is CEO of Anchor Strategy Group. She's a highly accomplished entrepreneur, business strategist, and executive brand expert with over 20 years of experience. I get so excited, I start spitting all over myself. Driving success for diverse organizations. Elisa, not Alyssa. Elisa is a sought after, trusted business partner to tackle complex challenges and shape company strategies for both startups and Fortune 500 companies. With a track record of holding multiple chief executive roles and successfully guiding multiple companies from inception to exit, she is recognized for outstanding leadership, strategic vision, and abilities to deliver tangible results. Elisa now specializes in helping executives from small to medium-sized businesses who struggle with articulating a clear business strategy, so important, and turning strategic plans into measurable results. I could read all day because this woman has so much to talk about. But today, what we're going to bring to you is a little bit of information on the Anchor Chief Framework. And so as a business strategist, Elisa has put together some key information for you today that can help you succeed in your current environment. And this live workshop is a little primer to our upcoming June 22nd in-person hybrid online event that we're doing together in Encinitas. It's primarily this rock star, but I get to be a guest speaker. But tell me a little bit, Elisa, about why you wanted to start empowering female founders and female executives. What inside you wanted you to step out of serving all people and serving our female sisters?
Oh, it's a really good question. First, thank you for having me. And
My
thank
pleasure.
you. I can see there are people from all over.
Showing up like crazy. And you guys give us a shout out. And please make sure to bring your questions because I'll address them in the chat and we'll make sure to get back to you. If I can't get back to you or Elisa can't get back to you, we will certainly DM you
Absolutely.
or email you. So
Totally.
we're here. We have, and also remember, this is streaming live on Restream. So you need to give Restream permission to be able to give us your name so that I can bring you live onto the show and give you kudos for watching it, because we want you to also be recognized, because we're not here for us, we're here for you.
That's so good. Oh, thanks. I'm so excited to be here. And I'm thrilled that you and I are going to be doing this incredible workshop with both in-person folks as well as people from all over the world.
I know.
Virtually. So that's
Aren't you guys tired of
so great.
online, only online? Like we get to do
I
it in
know we
person.
do only, but a lot of people from around the world who maybe can't make it to lovely San Diego and want to participate in some of these one-day events. The great thing is we would never have done that 5 years ago. Like before COVID, we just wouldn't have all done it, right? So anyway, with that, what was your question? I now forgot what you asked.
Okay,
me.
so there's two. Before I interview people,
Okay.
I usually ask them a few key questions,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
Because we want to know you.
Okay.
There's a person behind the brand. So 2 questions. What is it that inspires you every morning or every day to get up and do the work that you do? Because as entrepreneurs, as mothers, as significant others, we have the opportunity to curl up in a ball and not do anything, right? It's not an option.
And sometimes we have to.
But what is it that you
Yeah.
find that drives you to keep doing what it is that you do?
I think it's such a great question. And it's a big part of this workshop, right? The first step of anything is clarity. Like, where do you want to go? Or I call it, what is your lighthouse? And I would say, like, as a working mom who's been making payroll and making babies for decades, the answer to that question has been dramatically different. Right. I mean, and I think that's what I love about working with other female entrepreneurs is like to be really raw and honest. There were days where I just needed to make a mortgage payment. Right. There are days I needed to put food on the table. There are days I was supporting my husband's business. There were days when I happened to just be in the right spot at the right time. And I had a business that was just propelling. And it was just like this, it's now or never, like, let's go all in. Right. There were motivations for working under a certain time frame in order to get a company sold because that moment was there. So I think inspiration and where you're going, we should be open to that change, to that transition over time. Now it is very different. I have run a $350 million company. As you said, I've built and exited, I've sold, I've funded, I've been up, I've been down, I've been through the trenches. And I think I have a very different motivation right now, which is I need to wake up, or I choose to wake up and do work I love and I'm really good at. So my rule has been that 80% of my day now, I need to be doing what I'm really what I'm a whiz at. That's how I look at it. What am I a whiz at? And then layered on top of that, I have one child who just graduated from university, one who's in university, one who's a rising senior, and my life is changing. And I don't necessarily want to be motivated by an office of 500 people reporting into me anymore. I want to do great things, but I want a little bit more freedom than I ever had before.
Right? There's a season. We're in that season.
It's a different season.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So you mentioned a little bit, let's talk before we get into the workshop.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about your background. So we said you built a $350 million company, right?
I ran that one.
You ran it. Okay. So the skills that you learned doing that are a little bit different than raising funds.
Totally.
Right? So what skills, which position do you feel was like the steepest learning curve for you? That you were like, did you ever have this feeling of like imposter syndrome? Like, how am I going to, this is an unsurmountable task or a process, or how am I going to turn this business around, or what I'm going to do? Like, because I know many of you ladies are at different stages of your life, different stages of your career, and you want to potentially get to where Lisa is today, right? You want to work for or head up a $350 million company. You want to build and exit. Maybe you want to start a podcast. Maybe you want to do a book. Maybe you want to sit on a board seat. We're here to give you those skill sets. But my reason in asking that question is, like, how did you overcome some of the obstacles that we're going to talk about? And at what stages of your career did you start to recognize them?
I think I can answer that in three ways. So the first is that's a daily struggle. So I think to say that somehow I've arrived, or I know we all talk about imposter syndrome, I try and think of it as if you're growing and you're pushing yourself every day is hard. And there have been days where the technology that's happened. I mean, I'm 57, right? When I started, we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have computers. So
we had pagers.
barely just had pagers. But the learning curve I'm on every day of my life is overwhelming, I think. So for me, it's not, there really never is an easy rider moment for probably any of us. I think it's impossible. It's just how do you deal with it and how do you manifest it? And by doing some of the things we're talking about today, you can eliminate some of the challenges that you're going to face. But I'll step back to like what was, when was the hardest moment? My first job, right? Because you really have nothing behind you. So I always say now we start over, and many of the women that are out there, or the executives that I work with that hopefully we'll talk about today, they're so incredibly gifted and they've done so much that you and I would look at them and go, well, how could they not know who they are? How could they not know what their story is? But it does happen that way. The great thing is that you're not starting over. You're starting from years and years of experience. So the hardest thing for me was that first job. I was a speechwriter for a whole bunch of male politicians. And it was just overwhelming. And I cried every night, probably for 6 months, because everything that I wrote was put in front of you and critiqued and criticized. So it was super hard. I would say the best job, I have what I call my story. Like, what is the one thing that happened to me in my career that led me to where I am today? And it was very early on in my career, which is why a lot of times when I work with women, I love to go back, right? Because some of those are the most important times. So after I left being a speechwriter, I went to work for a company downtown in Washington, D.C., which is where I went to university and my career started. And I became a crisis communications manager. And the boss that I worked for at the time really is the one that figured that out for me. He said, I think you're super calm in a storm. And I think you're an amazing writer and you're a really good thinker. And this is something you should do. And I went into crisis and it was amazing. But what happened is he brought me into the office one day and he said, I need your help because we're doing a really great job for all these clients, but they're not happy. None of them are happy. Like what are we doing wrong? So I found myself in a hotel room several months later with a certain senator who shouldn't have been where he was, doing something he wasn't supposed to be doing. And we were called in, and that's what I was there to do. And I asked the most important question that I've probably asked in my whole career and moved forward, which is, Senator, how would you like to see this end? And that was the first time. It's so profound, even when I say it to myself now, because, do you want to keep your career? Do you want to keep your wife? Do you want to run again? Because where you want to go is how my strategy needs to take you there.
Yep.
And that's basically been my personal North Star question my entire career.
That's interesting. And I can totally relate to that in customer service or de-escalating an upset customer. Asking them that question, what's the outcome that you want before you start throwing them free things or giving somebody really, what do you want as outcome? Maybe they just want to be heard. Maybe they just want to tell their story. However the cards fall, it's okay for them.
Right.
But we're here to tell people that you have a choice
Yes.
of where you want to go. And that's going to segment me into, let's talk about your new framework. And it's not new. It's really not new.
No, it's not new. But I should talk about how I got here.
Yes.
Okay. So if you look at my story and what you just read, you'd be like, how could this woman end up post-COVID and not really know what she was doing? And actually, that's exactly what happened. I exited my last company and then I was like, okay, well, what am I going to do now? And I looked at everything and I somehow thought that I was more of a CMO, Chief Marketing Officer. And I don't know how I got to that conclusion, and we don't have to go through that, but I started down that path and started realizing that's not my story. That's not who I am. I have to refigure this out. And this is the framework I came up with, and it's literally transformed my life.
Oh, goodness.
And it's what I use on my business clients. And I basically reframed it for executive women as kind of a service to all of us.
Okay.
If that makes sense to everybody.
Yes.
And it's really about how to become the CEO of your own career in 4 steps. And when you go through the process, you're going to be like, oh my goodness. And this is just this is a sneak preview. Okay. This is like just the beginning. You have to come to our workshop.
June 22nd in Sanitas.
But I'm excited. And my idea is, obviously, I love words. Everyone has a story. You have a story. I have a story. Every woman, the thousands of women that are listening to us right now, you all have a story. And everyone can write a new chapter.
Kim says, I have a story, but we don't have enough time for it.
I love that. Oh my gosh. We don't have enough time for our stories. Everyone can write a new chapter. The problem is not everyone knows when it is time or how to do it. I'll skip through that. Houston, we have a problem. Why are you and I sitting here? Why do I even care about this? Because 2% of female-owned businesses, 2% break $1 million. That's it.
I've seen it.
So when I
We've
saw
seen
that
it.
and realized
Yeah.
I've done it multiple, I didn't even know that it was special. Only 27% of women seek some sort of financing for their business. I've raised millions and millions of dollars. I didn't think that it was special. And so I'm like, well, what's happening? Why do we have this problem? So if you could consistently attract to you the success, the wealth, the career, the opportunity that you wanted, would you do it?
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
Why don't you think women do it?
I think for the same reason you just said, that you didn't realize it was more with it.
Okay. They feel like they're being pushy when they talk about themselves. They're uncomfortable selling themselves and they're paralyzed by what to say.
Yeah.
And that keeps you in the back. And that keeps you from stepping up and going, I can be the CEO. I would like $5 million for this company, because they feel pushy. So I wanted to come up with a framework to help you do that without feeling pushy, without feeling uncomfortable, without being paralyzed. And this is how the majority of women feel right now in the workforce. Now, again, we're talking about senior executive women. I'm not saying that the other women don't feel that way, but these are CEOs and founders. These are women all making well over 6 figures. And the percentage of them that feel stuck, overwhelmed, lost, and uneasy is mind blowing. What they want is guidance, purpose, clarity, and fulfillment. How do we get there is really our question. So this is my framework for that. Okay. Again, this is the framework. The anchor strategy framework is what we use for small to mid-sized companies that want to grow a lot.
Can you define for the audience,
Yeah.
in your opinion, what's a small business versus a medium-sized business? Is it revenue? Is it number of widgets? Is it number of employees? Is there a formula, or is it what the internet defines it?
Well, everybody does define it differently. I am a money girl, so I do it by revenue. So when I look at a startup is a venture-backed company or a PE-funded company that may have a certain amount of capital raised, but they don't have revenue yet because that's the trajectory that they're going. So their milestones are different.
Pre-revenue, right?
Exactly. A small to mid-sized company, I consider a small company somebody who's doing over $1 million a year. And then a medium company is up to 100 million.
Okay.
Then after that, you begin to be acquired and you're part of much bigger enterprises.
Okay. So the people that are pre-revenue and up to $1 million.
$1 million. Yeah.
Are those, would you call those micro businesses?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Startups or micro businesses.
Okay.
When you look at the number and say the percentage of people sometimes will say to me, well, $1 million doesn't seem like a lot. And I'm like, I agree with you. How many companies go over $1 million is what people don't realize. So if it's only 2% of all female businesses,
right,
there's a lot of micro businesses.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to just do this rather quickly in terms of the framework, because we'll go into this in depth in the workshop. But obviously we're Anchor Strategy Group and I love water. And I feel like it's soothing and perfect. So there's 4 steps. Number 1 is sharpen. It's like, let's get really clear. And I use the lighthouse because so many times when I'm talking to female executives, and they may be CEOs, they may be on the next ring to be a CEO, they may be a founder who's already raised a couple $1 million. And I say, well, where are we going? What is the lighthouse? And you can have a lighthouse, or my quick version sometimes, and I think I talked to you about this, is the road trip. So we're in San Diego. Where do you want to go? You want to go to New York? You want to go to Florida? Because where you want to take yourself makes a big difference of what car we get in, who we take with us, how much gas we need. But sometimes we're just driving.
Well, I remember being, I keep saying I'm a new entrepreneur, a young entrepreneur. I can't say any of those words now, but I used to hear people say, what's your exit strategy? And I'd be like, wait, I can't even think exit strategy. I'm like still launch strategy. What's the, so maybe young founders, young meaning newer founders,
Yeah.
don't really have it in their head yet. They don't have that. They don't go into business with, how am I going to end this?
Well, and I think you should, right? And so that first, when people say, how did you build and exit so many companies? I started every company with a very clear exit. Were there a lot of detours? Absolutely. I thought I was going to New York. I ended up in Florida, but I knew conceptually where I was going.
Okay.
Also with my career. And this one is more about the career.
Ladies, listen up. It's not just business.
Not just
career.
business. So this is about your career. And then we're going to get into some really interesting things here. I'm going to ask you, what do you think is the number one question that's asked in business all the time? And that's really what this is about. Okay. Shape, which is drop your anchor. Let's figure out what your area of expertise is. What problem do you solve? What are the results that you get? And then drop the freaking anchor. Like, that's it. Stop changing it. Like, figure out what you're doing. I know there's so many women I'll talk like this month or this, next month or that.
Yes.
Like, at some point you got to
I have new messaging.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a friend I'm talking to you. Guess what? I have new messaging this month.
Yeah. Is that one still work? No. Now, when I'm starting out companies, and you've been through this with me, I have it's basically, I put a disclaimer out. This is not the company. This is the massaging, the work in progress. But once we drop the anchor, that's it. And we dropped this anchor. Showcase, which is what I love to think of as sailing the boat. So we now know where we're going, and we actually have an anchor, right? It's in the boat. We're not getting, now we're like going around, right? So this part is what I also find.
The melon.
The melon.
The melon.
This is where so many women, they feel uncomfortable. This is thought leadership. This is getting out there. This is letting people know. And I give you statistics here about why it's important. And the last one is basically to cast your rod. And there are a lot of things that we can talk about as it relates to that, but the opportunities will not be coming to you. Okay. So everyone has a story. If you look at what I just said, this is really a quick version. Know yourself, know your promise, which is what you can do. Like, I know what yours is. I know you know what mine is. So we've done something right. Know your story. And then what are the opportunities for you? Okay. So this is something that will work for women who are CEOs, founders. And I know we talked about women that were already, in that 6-figure category. Absolutely. It's for them. But I wish I'd had this framework when I was 20. I wish I had this framework when I started my companies, that somebody had sat down with me. You talk about the inspiration. Why am I doing this when I have this whole other company? Is because I didn't have anybody to do that.
It's so important, right? Mentorship is talked about all the time. And it's really hard for younger women to find women. It's changed a bit. It's changed a bit.
Yeah.
But I remember when I was looking for a female mentor, they didn't exist because they were scratching and crawling their way, and they had their people, and they
Absolutely.
didn't want to let somebody else in. It was, who can I step on to get to the top? Instead of now, women that are giving back are leading with one hand up and one hand back, right? How can we bring you with us? And how can you learn from what we've done? But the teacher shows up when the student's ready, right? So we're trying to get you ready because the teacher's here.
Yeah, that's good. I love that. And also, the more work we do, the more we're able to also teach ourselves, right? And then take that to other people, which is what this is. So as I was kind of going through my transition and trying to figure all of this out, I figured out that I wanted to share the secret, okay? The single most important thing you can do to get the professional career you want. Boom. This is what it is. What is the most asked business question? I figured out when I was out there, and I wasn't currently running a company. So the answer to this question isn't, I'm the CEO of this or the founder of that. I had to have a different answer, and mine were horrible, right? Horrible. And I was like, this is not the right
Okay, let's see in the chat, you guys. Do you have an answer? What is the most asked question in business? Let's see. I won't call you out until she answers the question, but put it in the chat because I want to hear what you think is the answer to this question.
And so while we're waiting to do that, I will tell you, because here in San Diego, we're members of Hero Hub, the two of us. And when I came back to Hero Hub, everybody was asking these questions, and I had horrific answers. And finally, one of the people I know pulled me aside and said, "That is not a good response." After we do this, I'll tell you what my response was because I didn't have an answer and I was just trying to put it off. Okay, you ready?
Yes.
So what do you do? Now, it sounds really simple, but it's kind of like you will never go into a business conversation again without now being aware of the question that I've just told you. Because everybody, so what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? What do you do? And my answer was as little as possible, which is a horrible answer, but I was just trying to figure it out. But this is it. And so I started doing research, and most people have an answer that even after 30 minutes of talking to them, you have no idea what they do. Even some of my closest friends, I was like, can I articulate what they do? People don't have good answers. Okay. Here's why that's a problem. And I just went through this.
It's a big problem.
It's a big problem. But nobody thinks about this as a problem, which is why I wanted to do this workshop. If people don't know who you are, they cannot help you. If you didn't know what I did for a living,
exactly,
we wouldn't be sitting here.
Right.
Okay. So, I have a little bit of, I have tons of other statistics to prove how important this is. That this is the most important thing we can do for our career is learn how to answer that question.
Yes.
So people work with, collaborate, support, and connect with folks that they understand and they know that they can recommend and they know what they're doing. 80% of people have their current position because someone understood who they were. Unbelievable, right? So you think about this. Okay. Your story is the secret. It's the secret. It's the sauce. Once you know where you're going and you can answer this really clearly, and I'm going to share mine with you guys, you're good. Most stories are unclear, confusing, and overwhelming. So think about how many times you're at a networking event, or let's not even say it's a wedding that you're at, or I've been through at least 6 graduation parties this year, and everybody says, so what do you do? And I have had multiple contacts from other companies come out of that because my story is very clear.
Okay? I have an onboarding form with my clients, and not only do I ask them that question, but I say, tell me that answer as if you were talking to a 6th grade classroom.
Mm-hmm.
And people say, I don't know, this is what I need help with.
Bingo. Okay. Now, here's the fun one. Most people, if you say, Elisa, I have a story. I've got a story. I got this. I'm like, okay, let me hear your story. Most of the stories are wrong. Let me tell you why. You need a clear, confident story. That is power. Okay. It's your most important asset. Now, this is a fun one. The right story is not your origin story. What do I mean by that? Most people start with, and you'll let me give you the opposite. You know enough about me now to know my origin story. I mean, it could start when I was in kindergarten, or I grew up. I hear that a lot. I grew up in Illinois. Nobody cares. So many people start with that. I went to USC. That's an origin story. Okay. My really bad origin story, which I'll just flip for you guys here, is, I'm an entrepreneur. I have built and sold 5, 6 companies. They've been in all these different sectors. I've helped run another company, blah, 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 blah. That's an origin story. And that's what most people do. Okay. I'm going to give everybody the secret sauce here.
You ready?
This is the secret story formula. And it looks easy and it's really hard. But if you nail it, and I've been working on that with my oldest son who just graduated, I said, get this story down. He got it down. He was at Stagecoach, which is an amazing thing to go, ran into somebody who he had been trying to interview with, locked his story, got a job interview.
Oh, nice.
Not that happens all the time, but here it is. You ready?
Yes.
I am, and you're going to tell me, not I am from Illinois or I graduated from USC. I want to be able to immediately know who you are. Okay. I am a photographer. I am a doctor. I'm a lawyer. Just give it to me very specifically. Okay. Mine is, so I usually say name. I'm Elisa Marie. I'm a business strategist and a professional writer. That is who I am. Right. And now you know, you've immediately got, oh, she's a business strategist and she's a writer. So you're not going to call me for 5 other jobs or other clients.
And also, you're not using fluffy words that nobody really understands, right? You have to articulate it so that somebody can grab a hold of it and do something with it in their current framework.
Totally.
Yes.
And we will build off of this,
Yes.
right? This is just your secret story. It's your fast story. It's not the 60-second pitch if we're going in to raise $5 million or, we build on this story. But this is the 30 seconds or less you have with everybody that you meet that you don't want to feel uncomfortable with. And all you want them to do is understand who you are and put you in an area that makes sense to them. Okay. So that's the first part. So I don't know if anybody has written in and said, like, I am. If anybody has said
go ahead,
what
you
they
guys,
are,
start building this with us.
Build with
because your
us.
next customer could be on this live show.
That's right.
It could be in the comments.
Okay.
All right.
So now you say, I work with, and we're going to get very specific, right? And then who struggle with what, and I help by what? Because at the end of the day, it's all about the solutions. And again, we're almost all primarily business women. I do work with a lot of doctors, and I work with scientists as well, because we do a lot of business in biotech and life sciences. So theirs looks a little bit different, but it is all the same story. So I work with, who do you work with? I work with CEOs and founders of small to mid-sized companies.
I work with B2B service-based companies from small to medium-sized companies.
Perfect. Which is different than I work with publicly traded CEOs, right? Or I work with mid-level software engineers, right? Whoever it is.
Yes.
So I work with them and who struggle with, and the struggle with is important. And I work with people who will give me these answers, but they're not really solid enough, right? But we get there. So I work with CEOs and founders who struggle with getting the results they need to get their company to scale or sell. So we now know that I work with people that have a problem. The problem is that they are not meeting their results to scale or sell their company, right? It's not for M&A. It's not for, that's what they do. And I help buy. Oh, wait, I even have my little one here for everybody. Okay. Elise Marie. Okay, I'm a business strat, because sometimes for people to see it, and I know people
it helps
will,
with structure.
with
right?
structure. I'm a business strategist and a professional writer. I work with CEOs and founders who struggle with getting the measurable results that they need to scale or sell their company. So if you're a CEO or a founder, or you work for one of those companies and the dialogue in your company is, we're just not getting this done. I don't think we know where we're going. I'm not sure what the CEO wants, right? We're not getting there. You immediately know I would be a candidate for you. And I help them very specifically by working with them to anchor, you see, got a little nautical theme going here, to anchor the right business strategy and articulate the right story to meet the goal. Now, if you think about it, it goes directly back to, I'm a business strategist and I'm a writer. It's super tight. So if you have a special event and you need a big special event planner, you're probably not going to call me. If you need a marketing manager or PR or software engineer or somebody who does meditation or you're not going to call me.
Health coach.
I'm not a health coach. I'm not a personal coach. So it's really, it sounds really simple. I will tell you that this took me several months to really dial into, like, this is my story,
yes,
not this. And that is the process, the beginning of the process that we take people through. That is actually the second part of the process, by the way. The first part of it is, this is 0-2, right? This is the shaping. The first part is, so where are you going? Let me just take a second and give you that. And let's just think about how different my story could be or would be if I had a different lighthouse. So my lighthouse right now is I would like to get to the point where I remain in California.
Mm-hmm.
I work 4 days a week. I hit all of my financial goals. I work with companies I really like, and I'm able to take a month off in the summer. That's my North Star right now, and doing the work we're talking about. So it fits. What if my lighthouse was my real, like, where I really want to, I would love to move to Bali, and I would love to start some sort of a sustainable business.
Oh, somebody says that's exactly what they want to do.
Okay, then you do not want my story. But do you see how different
Yes.
that would be, and how my story and who I am? It doesn't mean that I can only be a business strategist and a professional writer. It is the core of who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And we all have multiple things, but it's to make it align.
Yes.
If I were to talk to you and you're an investor and I tell you I want to start a business in Bali and I'm doing this export thing and I'm, feeding children and doing all these things and I'm looking to leave the country and go do that, I don't think you would care that I was a professional writer. So unless I was writing a book about it, right? So that's the process that I help people go through.
That's great. And also, I'm sure you pull in some of their unique value of promise, right?
Yes,
Because
that's the beginning.
that person moving to Bali had better have some experience at doing business in Bali before I'm going to hand them $500,000 to go have a vacation in Bali.
Or you go with them, either way. But
yes.
No, absolutely. So the first part of that phase is we do look at your real skill sets and we look at your values. What are your values? My values were very clear that I don't ever want to live 2 hours from my children.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to stay in California. So those were really core values for me. And so that means I'm probably not going to move to, Bali and do something. So that's the first part I take people through. And then the promise, which you just talked about, I think is really important. What if I had said, I would like to be a graphic artist, but I'm not a graphic artist? I wouldn't be able to deliver for you if you hired me. If you hire me to be a business strategist and help you figure out where your business is going and how to write that for you and your team, I know I can meet the promise. If I told you I'm going to create a really great graphical icon logo for you, we're probably going to be disappointed, both of us. So that's an important process to go through, not just your value system and where you want to go, but what can you deliver on?
Yes. Yes. So how can you not just meet, but exceed, but your expectations and the customers so that you can take the positive testimonial and take it to the bank, right? Because you're delivering true value and outcomes to your client.
Totally.
So good.
Yeah.
All right. So do you want to talk a little bit about our June 22nd? Is this the end of our presentation?
Yes. That's that's your,
somebody
what do we
said,
call that? The sneak peek?
The sneak peek. They said, can we get a copy of the slides? We'll drop a link, right? Can we drop it? It's a Google.
Drop a link.
We can drop a PDF for you. And this is going to be recorded, so you guys can go back and refer to it. It's going to, as I said, it streams on all of it. We might take it down. I'm not sure yet. Do we put it in like a Disney vault?
I don't know. This is your area of expertise, I think.
We'll see what we do.
Yeah.
So let's talk about June 22nd.
Okay.
About what you can expect. We'll also drop the link to the landing page. We have some codes. If you're watching this from someplace in the world and the price of the event is a little bit too high, reach out to me, because we want to be inclusive of all the people.
We have a couple of scholarships available.
Yes. We want you to be successful. Okay, so let's see. What can people expect? They're going to show up at 8, right?
So I think, I might, if it's okay, start with like why we're doing it. So when I work with executives who I take through this process, it starts at $5,000 when I'm working one-on-one. And I realize I love doing that, of course. And maybe some people from the workshop will be able to journey on there, but that's not something everybody can afford. And definitely people around the world can't necessarily come to San Diego. So I wanted to provide something that had this interesting opportunity where people were with us, but that also people were with us all around the world. And they walked away with, in one day, what takes me 4 weeks to get through with a client, and give them all the tools. They're not going to walk away with me writing everything the way I do for my clients, but they're going to get everything, exactly what you would get if you worked with me for 4 weeks.
That's super valuable.
I think
Right.
that's super important. So that was the first thing. And then because we're in San Diego and we all love yoga, and one of my dear friends is an amazing yoga healer and does sound bowl and everything.
We're a little bit woo-woo.
And we're a little woo-woo out here sometimes. But I also just wanted to bring women who are mostly like, this is about ambitious, high-performing women. And I wanted to take us out of this dressed up, everybody's going to be in yoga wear. And I hope the women around the world in yoga wear, they're going to be able to do it too. And I wanted to just clear everybody's mind differently for this type of an experience. And so we're going to be starting with gentle yoga, led by Kiki and Kika. Kika is from Italy. She's amazing.
Do they have to bring yoga mats, or are we providing
We
this?
provide everything.
We're providing this.
Not at home, though. You have
Yes.
to do that. And it's just going to be really, she's a really special person. And that's just to open our mind, right? Get us all where we need to go. And then there are 3 different sessions that we have planned throughout the day. I'll lead 3 of them. I know I'll let you talk about your one. And that is to take you through the first 3 steps and giving you all the tools. And I'm working through that process with everybody. We also have a Slack channel. So once you register, you're part of that whole world for us. And I will be doing like a presentation and sharing a lot of examples. And there's also just kind of live interaction and working with everybody through that process. And we have an amazing lunch, which we'll not have for the people around the world, but they'll have their own lunch. And that's a community building time. And we'll come back. I'll let you talk about yours. You have yours. But then the closing ceremony, because you have worked so hard during the day and you will be exhausted. We will be like,
brain
we've
blowing.
done a lot.
Yes.
Kika is doing a very special crystal sound bath for everyone. She is an expert, has studied this around the world, and we'll all lay down, and it will be as effective if you're online. It will be just lovely. And then we'll say our goodbyes. We also have a ridiculously amazing swag bag for the first 500 people. Even if it doesn't matter, anywhere in the world that you are, the first 500 people, and I think we're capped at 1,000, who basically register are going to get this. And it is amazing.
Yes. People come for the swag and stay for the knowledge.
So often the story of my life.
Yeah.
And then you're going to do a special session.
I
for
am.
us.
So as Elisa was talking about, after you understand, your clarity and you put your story together and we start to polish it up, right?
Right.
People can't find you if they don't know who you are. If you're not present, if you're not showing up in a consistent manner with your true north, with your lighthouse, with your story, they can't connect with you and find you. So I'm going to lead a workshop on how to be present on LinkedIn, how to be able to show up on paper, like I always say, who you know, what business problem do you solve, and the outcome of working with you. And we're going to take a little bit of a story journey as well as we craft our story of taking our readers through the problem agitation solution. You know you're solving a problem. You want to agitate a little bit, and then your offer and who you are is the solution. And the framework and the things that we're going to do together are applicable whether you're employed or whether you're an entrepreneur.
Okay.
So we're going to tell the story. We're not going to throw up a resume on LinkedIn, but we're going to talk about what it's like to build your subject matter expertise on a platform like LinkedIn.
And you were just telling me, maybe because I think we have just a few more, not many. Oh my goodness.
2 minutes left.
Has this been 45 minutes?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. There were some numbers that you shared on LinkedIn that were just amazing to me. The number of people on there,
yes.
or
800 million people are on LinkedIn in 55 or 200 different countries.
Oh my goodness.
And they're decision makers. Your next venture capitalist could be there.
Yep.
Your next family door could be there. Your next employer, your next employee, your next affiliate, your next client. Every person that you talk to needs to be someone you want to do business with, someone that's a mentor, someone that you could hire. Make every conversation intentional, right? Because we have this framework. We have our anchor strategy framework.
Yeah. Our framework.
And everything we do is intentional. We're not just out there throwing spaghetti on the wall.
That's going to be such a great session. Thank you so much for doing that.
Yeah.
It's going to be amazing.
We might have cocktails at the end.
After the sound bath, we will.
Yes.
Yes. And for those around the world, we'll just cheers together while you're there. But
Yes.
yeah, that would be amazing.
It's going to be fun, and we want everybody to join us. This is an annual event.
Yeah,
right?
it's only one time a year. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an annual event. It's a lot of work in the making. We want you to be there. We want you to learn. We want you to move forward. We want you to bust through whatever it is.
We want you to be part of our tribe.
Yes.
Like you'll see if you go to the site, we talk about all the other things, not just the day of and everything, but to be part of our tribe.
Yes.
And what we're all doing together, I think is really special too.
And we're going to listen to what you need next. So whatever it is that the outcomes, we're going to interview you at the end of the day to find out, if we delivered, and we want to make sure what is it that we can offer to you next to help you on this journey, whether it's working with Elisa one-on-one, could be working with me on getting your LinkedIn presence done because it's too overwhelming for you, or it could be something else. And we want to hear what that something else is. Right?
Oh, also, yeah. Also, I believe really strongly in money back guarantees. I know that what we put together will be amazing. And if for any reason you are not 100% satisfied, you get your money back.
Well, that's amazing.
Right?
We've just completely removed the friction of attending the event.
There should be no friction. As a matter of fact, you'll be like, I loved it so much. Let me double it for you. No, but it is 100% money back guarantee. We have that for my company for anything.
Yeah.
Anything, if you are not 100% satisfied with what we've done, you get your money back.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, I'm going to wrap the show.
Yes.
Because we have been jabbing. I love it. Thank you for all the comments. I'm going to go through all of your comments. We're going to make sure that everybody gets replied to. Email us. Which email should they use if they want to get a hold of you?
Alisa, ALISA. Sorry, we should have put that up there, but we can put it in the link. ALISA at anchorstrategygroup.com.
Yes. So it's here.
Like it sounds, Anchor Strategy.
All right, you guys. So thank you so much for tuning in. We will be back with another episode of how things went. We'll do a recap of how the show went. We'll probably do a live from the show as well, so everybody can say hi. Oh, thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, don't just thrive. Don't just survive. Thrive.
Thank you, everybody.